Sir, I guess we can start next session.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I will share this screen. I will, sir, introduce you first, and then you can start. Is the screen visible?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. So, I'm privileged to welcome our next speaker, Dr. Aniruddha Joshi, who is founder and CEO of A3 Innovations, Nadi Tarangini Pool, with a very interesting topic of data science driven Ayurveda. So, I would like to introduce him to all of you. So, he has received his PhD degree in computer science from IIT Bombay with the specialization in data analysis and machine learning. He has received CSIR Research Fellow for 5 years, and now he is founder and CEO of A3 Innovations Private Limited. Also director at RPDS Innovations Private Limited. He has in his name 3 patents and more than 35 papers in reputed international journals and conferences. A3 Innovations is pioneer in combining the ancient science of Ayurveda with the modern advanced technologies. And in his session, you will come to know about the versatility and the usefulness of his basically initiative towards the human mankind. So with this note, I would like to invite and call Aniruddha sir to start his session.
Thank you, Amol sir, for inviting me to this excellent. Some echo is there. Thank you again for inviting me for this session. Let me present my screen.
Yes, sir.
Sir, is it visible?
Yes, sir, visible. Please go ahead.
Excellent. So I'm sure you must have heard excellent lectures throughout the day about the theory part, and next 3 days also are going to be filled up with most theories and applications. This particular session, in this particular session, someone is echoing.
Yes. I
Go ahead,
request all
sir.
the participants
Yes.
to mute.
All right.
I think,
So in this
I think
particular session,
your mobile
I'm
is
going
with
to
you.
cover.
Keep the mobile ahead. Keep the mobile ahead.
I'm going to cover the application part, how I approached one particular problem statement, have gone through series of steps, and finally, the innovation came into the picture, and finally I started my company, and now I'm selling it. So using the theory to solve a problem and making money. So I'm going to, walk through this journey. So the problem, so this is the outline of today's session. I'll start with the problem statement, which is to find out what is Prakriti, how to find out the Prakriti, and so on. I will briefly explain about the Ayurvedic methodology of Nadi Parikshan, pulse-based diagnosis. I will also talk about various theories of formation or importance of the pulse. Then I will talk about my first product Nadi Tarangidi and the latest product Turiya, and how it solves the problem of finding out the Prakriti and giving recommendations to the people for overall well-being. Then I will talk about the research outcomes from Nadi Tarangini, from the data we have worked for the last 3 years, and how Ayurveda is still relevant today, even though many of us know about it, do not like it, follow it, and so on. So this session is going to be about 1 hour and 10 minutes, and last 15-20 minutes I will keep for the question answering. Is this fine, Amol sir?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Sir, we cannot see the slide.
To see the screen, you have to
The screen is visible, but
pin.
slides are not there. Only sound is coming.
No, you will have to pin in front of the name of Aniruddha, sir.
Sorry?
It's okay, sir. Please go ahead.
Is there a mistake from my side?
No, actually. There is a process to
Okay.
pin actually in the Google Meet.
Okay,
One
okay.
has to
So
do
should
that
I?
to. Yes, yes.
Okay, okay.
Thank you, sir.
So I'll follow again the same thing then.
Yes.
So that's going to be the outline. I'll straight away go into the topic. We observe our friends, families, people around us, and we see that people are of different physical appearances. We want to be someone, we are someone. Similarly, personalities are also different. Some people are born genius, some people are hardworking, some people are thinkers, and so on. And we are of some other kind. We want to be something. So we should really know, we should know who we are. And then if we want to be someone, then we should take such corrective actions so that we can go in that direction. So I'm going to explain 3 different categories of people which are defined in Ayurveda. And these are broad categories. Suppose you can think about your friends, about your family members. Suppose you are going for a movie. Then there are family members who keep guessing about what will be the next line, who will come next. There will be few people who will make the plans. इस theater में जाएंगे, ऐसे जाएंगे, we will go by this car or that bus, and so on. And there will be a category who are, they're enjoying. They just want to go to the movie, have good popcorns, have fun, and so on. After the movie, there are people who are talking about awards, screenplays, and so on. There are people who are making the next plans, next movie, or let's go for this dinner, and so on. And the third category of people are still enjoying, they're stretching, they're yawning, and so on. If you see some accident or something like that, again the first category will scream, they will try to run away. The second category of people will try to solve the problem. They will go to the location, call ambulance, call police, and try to solve. The third category will just they might ignore and just keep walking, something like that. Again, at a birthday party, the first category of people, they are like more like, kuch tufani karte hain. Let's go to Tibet, ride a camel, or something like that. The second category of people are more, organized games, methodical, and so on. And the third are enjoying their parties, and so on. So broadly, these 3 categories are called as Vata, Pitta, and Kapha in Ayurveda. And usually we are of one kind, but sometimes in other people's influence, we become some other person. So in general, we should know what is our personalized balance state, what kind of person we are, and sometimes we are some other person, which is our imbalanced state. And when we are someone else, whether it's physical, emotional, psychological, and so on, we feel something different. And that leads to some disorder. All right. So we should know what is our balanced state, what is imbalanced state. And that is exactly is called as Prakruti and Vikruti in Ayurveda. So Prakruti is something with which you are born with, and Vikruti is what you are today or in these days. And it changes over time. Prakruti is fixed one, Vikruti is different. It's cyclic, so every season you feel something, or when you are influenced, you feel something. And so there's so many reasons that there is a difference between Prakriti and Vikruti. And that imbalance eventually results in some disorder. Okay. So there are so many categories: genetic Prakriti, Vikruti, mental Prakriti, Vikruti, psychological, and so on. So in Marathi, we say Vyakti Titya Prakriti. So that's why there are so many combinations. And so every person is different. Every person's viewpoint is different. And it changes with age, your habits, the season around you, your friends, the habits, the upbringing, your professional life, the stress, your psychological state. Suppose you are from Ahmednagar, but you have come to Mumbai for your job, then change of that geographical location also changes you. And we should take corrective actions for that change, and so on. So in Ayurveda, there is a method called Ashtavidha Pariksha, which solves this problem of knowing Prakriti, knowing Vikruti, what is the difference between these two, and if at all there is difference, solve it. So it's called eightfold diagnostic method, Ashtavidha Pariksha, where they feel the pulse, they observe your tongue, they observe your eyes, they look at your skin, voice, mala, mutra, and so on. So, these are the 8 X-rays of those times. So Ayurveda has been there for last 5,000 years. Of course, it's not there in today's language of, report cards, numbers, graphs, and so on. But it is still relevant, so it has value. Many people follow it, many people discard it. And, we are trying to, come up with technologies, products, devices, softwares based on our knowledge base, which is Ayurveda, and so that we can export it and go vocal for local, which is the current theme of Atmanirbhar Bharat. I got introduced to this particular knowledge in my engineering days when my father was not well. He got treated well because of Ayurveda, and through various interactions, I found that there is science, and it has to be extracted in today's language and make simpler solutions so that everyone can adopt this. So that is with those efforts I started my company. We are in the 4th year of my company now. And this is the method I started with. So out of Ashtavidha Pariksha, Nadi or pulse has the highest weightage. So an Ayurvedic doctor feels the Nadi, feels the pulse at the rest of the patient as shown in the figure. You see fingertips. So I don't if I'm visible to you. So in this region, Nadi is observed. Okay. So if I feel here, I can feel that there is some palpitation, there is some pressure I can feel. So through these 3 fingertips, we can observe Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, which also resemble movements, energies, and structures inside our body. So when I say movements, it's all kind of movements, whether it's hand movement, your respiration, your blood movement, or even the movement of thoughts. When we say energy is creation, it's conversion from food to energy, metabolism, and so on. And when we say structures, it's how you look, your bones, your skins, your lubrication, and so on. So when you have certain vata, certain pitta, certain kapha when you're born with, and based on your location and many more things, your vata, pitta, kapha changes. And through Nadi, you can find out how much is it deviated, whether it's increased, whether it is decreased, and then you can go to the roots, why it must have increased, and so try to solve that problem. Okay, so that is the problem definition. There are many problem definitions which we are solving, but I'm concentrating on this one where we are trying to find out the deviation of who you are and who you are today. Okay. So let me explain the formation of the pulse. I'm going to explain a couple of theories here. I cannot go into deep. I cannot explain the deeper extensive formation methods, but I'm going to explain 2 simple methods so that we realize that okay, there is a pulse, and we can study it. So you can see that there is a pump, which is our heart, and heart is continuously doing the pumping action. So with that pressure, when the blood is, put into the artery, because the first artery is called aorta, but let's assume that all are arteries. So when it is put in the artery, because the artery is flexible, it expands. But because it's flexible, it comes back to its original shape, and when it comes back, it becomes the next pump, and again it pushes further. So it's continuously pumping action throughout the artery. So on the right hand side, you can see that the artery is fluctuating, it's pulsating. So when you measure the pulse, when you record the pulse at certain location, there is certain pressure which is going up and down. You can feel that as a palpitation. The second theory is more like this. From heart, there is a pulse beat which is starting, and in the arterial tree throughout our body, at every bifurcation which is happening at every location, certain pulse comes back. It's more like a reverse pulse beat. It's called as a reverse beat. And the two gets merged and one pulse beat is formed, which is of two cycles or two subbeats. So similarly, if you assume that there are thousands of bifurcations throughout your body, then this forward backward movement forms complex nature, and so you observe that particular thing on the wrist. So that's another theory where they talk about the forward reverse, forward backward pulse. The third theory is called as lumped model. I will written the word lumped. So basically, in which we assume that your heart is more like a battery, the energy source or where current starts, and all organs are basically some combination of resistors, capacitors, and so on, where some energy is stored, some blood is stored, some current is stored, or it has some blockages in terms of R1, R2, R5, and so on. Okay, so everything, all organs, all body parts are either in series or in parallel throughout the body. Okay, and let's assume that I've shown the right lung. So let's assume that right lung has some issue. So because of which R2 value, that particular resistor value increases. If that value increases, the current becomes less in that particular region. Okay, but it requires certain type of current, it requires certain type of bodies, blood, it needs certain types of ingredients and so on. So your heart and mind, they take a decision to send more blood. So it can do that by either pumping more number of times or pumping with higher amplitude. So because of which the blood required at the location of R2 becomes normal. It's not normal as such, but the total quantity becomes normal. But because of which, because the heart has taken the decision to pump more number of times or with increased volume or amplitude, it's applicable at all other body parts. So because of which, at heart also, you can feel that either the volume is increased, amplitude is increased, frequency is increased, decreased, depending upon how other body parts are functioning. Okay, so that's how at one location's problem is there, and it's visible everywhere. It's visible even at the wrist. And it's also called as, butterfly effect, chaotic theory, and so on. We are observing that for the last about a year now, where, in one portion of China, problem arise, and now the whole body of the world is, diseased, let us call it that way. So it starts very low, it starts at one location, and it goes everywhere. So suppose, so the problem what we are trying to solve is similar to this ECG analysis. ECG has been there, electrocardiogram has been there for last 200 years now, more than that actually, but actual processing, it's actually in the medicine for last 50 years, last 25 years, definitely with respect to heart rate variability. Now, many of us are wearing iWatch, Fitbit, and so on, which are related to heart rate variability. And from heart, so using 3 leads or 12 leads or single leads, so there are various types of ECG machines. So from those, basically you get a signal called PQRST wave kind of waveform, which is called as ECG. And actually it is made up of various subwaves, and those subwaves are originated at various locations of the heart. Okay, and summation of them creates this particular ECG signal. So suppose there is a issue in this particular P region of PQRST, then we can go back to the subwaves, find out where exactly that problem is, go back to the location of the heart, and that's how one of the ways. I mean, this is not the ultimate way, but one of the ways to find out which heart portion is not working properly. And so using ECG, we can find out the root cause of the heart. So similarly, as I showed in the previous slides, assuming that the pulse signal is capturing all the information of the whole body, suppose we get its subwaves, its bifurcation, and then we can reach out to various body locations also. So with that theory, let me come to the product part. Left hand side indicates how the manual Nadi Pariksha is done using 3 fingertips. So the doctor is measuring the pulse using on the patient's hand. So instead of that, I have a product called Nadi Tarangini using 3 pressure sensors. So the 3 pressure sensors are capturing the pressure values on the wrist, converting into digital energy and uploading on the server. So in next 4 days, including today, you are going to see multiple lectures about machine learning, about signal processing, and so on. So in this case, we receive 3 signals in terms of time series, and we convert that into 10-page report card. So in my initial days in the prototype level, I installed this at various hospitals, clinics, and collected huge data along with doctors' inputs. So those doctors' inputs were more like my ground truths or my labels. And along with that, we had users' data, users' pulse signals, and my findings. So, it was a typical classification system at that time in which the pulse signals, its features were used, and ground truths from the doctors were used. And we had a typical support vector machine based classification method. And the accuracy at that time was about 75-78%. And then in my company, we worked on more algorithms, more data, more inputs, more doctors, and so on. And when we launched, our accuracy was about 85%. We launched in early 2017. And then with more doctors' inputs, in 2018 mid, we launched our second pivot of this particular product, NT Guna. And now that is very popular. We have sold more than 500 systems so far from India, and some data also from outside of India. Also, we have more than 1 lakh patients data. We got a few awards from my Ministry of Ayush, from Business World, from Lexus, and so on. And based on that data, based on our findings, observations, and so on, we are now launching the next product. But before that, let me show you how it works, and the kind of theories we are going to learn in next few days, how to implement them on an actual real problem. So, oh my God. So let me click on this. So the patient is keeping a hand on the patient unit. The doctor is reading the sensors, and those sensors are put on the wrist. So it's similar to how a manual Nadi Pariksha is done. That's how we had the form factor. And the 3 sensors are giving 3 graphs related to Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So these 3 graphs are captured, and based on these graphs, you within few seconds you get a graph, you get a report card, and then this report card can be explained to the patients. Typically, how a blood report is explained, how ECG report is explained, and so on. So let me move ahead. So just to indicate the steps, we have a hardware with 3 sensors. We get 3 time series data. In this, we get data of about 1 to 2 minutes. Let's assume 1 minute. 1 minute into 3 seconds, I mean 3 sensors. and every sensor is capturing the data with 500 sampling rate. So for a particular user, we are getting 3 into 60 seconds into 500 data points. So that much data is recorded, uploaded on the server, where all the data is it goes through a machine learning program, and you get a report card. So when we started our program, when we started our work, it was more like a rule-based system because our data set was less, and it was more like the domain experts had explained, and I had converted into mathematical models. But now with more and more data, because it's enough to start the data science machine learning based program. And before pre-COVID, every day about 300 to 750,000 data points were getting uploaded on our server. So that data has been used to even further increase the accuracy, optimize various parameters. It's a continuous process. So let me explain you how this basically can be visualized. So I can say that, suppose this is a 10-second graph. So every second there's a tuck, 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 and so on. So you can visualize that, every second there is one pulse beat and so on. And if we observe ourselves throughout the day, sometimes, the pressure is low, sometimes the pressure is high, the volume is high, and so on. So as typical computer science background, electronics background, data background, signal processing background, I can correlate with this, that, every second there's a one pulse beat. I can observe it as some hump-like structure. So similar to heartbeats, because pulse signal is the manifestation of the heart, you also feel the second beat. So it's not tuck, 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 but it's actually tuck, 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 similar to heartbeats, But when a Vaidya feels the pulse, they feel beyond 2 pulse beats. So it's much beyond. So there are smaller beats, there are larger beats, and so on in each second. Every second is also not equal to each other. So similar to heart rate variability, there is also pulse rate variability. And also those variabilities have meanings, and those meanings have been, captured and have been used for last thousands of years. And then those rules have been, so many rules, and they are all multi to multi. But if the pulse is weak, pulse is slow, pulse is heavy, then it gets related to your anger, your digestive fire, your toxins, your so many other things. And as I said, these are multi to multi. And again, for every person, these rules change. So it's a very personalized, predictive, and powerful system which we are trying to computerize. So essentially in time series, you get 2 types of components, the actual information and the random component, which is the noise. So information also, there are trend components, there are seasonal components, statistical components, and so on. So you should be able to find out various types of them, use them, talk to your domain experts. Suppose you're solving a share market, then your share person becomes your domain expert. In this case, doctors become my domain expert, where we sit together, try to find out components, and sit with them for various people. Showing a particular trend becomes that particular person's that particular problem's pattern. Then again we sit for others, and we again come back, there is a mistake, we again go ahead, again come back, feedback loops, and so on. So it's a continuous process, continuously learning. And when we started, I had one doctor, 500 data. Today, we have hundreds of doctors and hundreds of data every day. So what we have actually done is converted the Ayurvedic language of Gati into the computer science language of different domain properties. So in the ancient days, they used to teach like feel the nadi and see whether it moves like a snake, or whether the nadi jumps like a frog, or whether it swims like a swan or something like that. There are hundreds of animals and birds. So we have to visualize their movement and try to find out which movement is there inside my wrist. And based on that, we try to find out the correlation between gatis and the vikrutis. When we say vikruti, is the imbalance between Vat Pitta Kapha. So we have converted that language into the speed, frequencies, rhythms, amplitudes, and so on. And we are still working on that. It's a continuous process. And so that, instead of saying movement of a snake, we say that observe this. Now think about it. Go back to your manual method, feel it. So it's also, good way to manually learning the Ayurvedic method of Nadi Pariksha. I'm going to explain a few of my pages of my report card, and we are going to show how time series analysis or various methods help in solving a problem. So we are going to learn various theories in next 3-4 days, and so this is more like an application. So from Vapit Kaf signals, we have got the few beats, which is best Vata beat, which is in blue, best Pitta beat, which is in red, and best Kapha beat, which is in green for this particulars. And we are comparing with the healthy average graphs. So we have more than 5,000 healthy people's data, and the average of them is also given here. So I will compare that to this, whether my Vata is increased beyond healthy or it is decreased. And when the same patient, same user gives more and more data, this gray line gets aligned with that person's data more and more. So it becomes more personalized healthy average and so on. Then we give 22 different Ayurvedic parameters like Samata, Niranta, Bala, Agni, Sukshmata, Sama, and so on. So which is more like Ayurvedic language, Sanskrit language, but helpful for the Ayurvedic doctors so that they can talk to their patients. Typically, Nadi Bala is the the volume or amplitude or force of the Nadi, which typically talks about Sharira Bala or Rugna Bala and so on. So Sharira Bala could be resemblance of your immunity. So we are talking about immunity all the time for 6 to 8 months. So many products, so many types of WhatsApp messages talking about immunity. We have done some experiments with respect to that. I will talk about them. Agni is basically the digestifier, your digestion, the indhan for your converting food to energy and so on. So here we are typically talking about the Jatthara Agni part, which is essential. So what Ayurveda says that if your stomach is healthy and if your mind is healthy, basically doni shanta still, then you are healthy. Typically you are healthy and your immunity is good and so on. So I'm going to show a few observations from the data which we have got with respect to Bala, with respect to Agni, with respect to many more parameters. I'll start with Agni. I'll start with the digestive. So this is a graph of 25,437 users. So it's an average of so many people in those months. Suppose, and this data has been collected at my doctor's clinic. So it's a completely random data. Maharashtra to Delhi, we have chosen that region so that, the season is somewhat constant. So whoever came in January, if that person's Vikruti is Pitta, then all such people's Agni's average is, in this case, it's 50 point something. Similarly, Kapha, similarly, Vata, and every month those numbers are changing. So you can observe that, typically Pitta person, Pitta people have higher digestive fire as compared to Kapha, as compared to Vata. So, we have seen this in our family itself. Some people, have good digestion, some people have better digestion, some people have bad digestion, and so on. And when the fire is higher, it results in hypertension, it results in acidity and so on. When your digestion is low, it results in either bloating or constipation and so on and so on. So different people have different tendencies, and we have seen those tendencies, and those tendencies change over months. So you can observe here that when we do this Prakruti Vikruti combination, so there is a way to find out Vikruti using Nadi. Nadi gives Vikruti and Prakruti. So for Prakruti, there is a very established method of questionnaire based Prakruti, where you ask either 10 questions, 20 questions, 50 questions. The Indian body of CCRAS they have come up with 200 plus questionnaire. So that essentially captures all your sides of your psychological, physiological, genetic, physical, and so on. And based on that, it gives very accurate Prakriti. So it's a Prakriti Vikruti combination. So in the previous slide, we observed some graphs, but those graphs get split into Mandagni, Tikshnagni, Samagni, and so on. So now we have even better approach to find out how much could be digestion of a typical Pitta person, typical Vata person, but showing Kapha properties today, and so on. Going further, these are 4 Prahars data. So previously I was talking about 25,000 data, out of which maybe Pitta Vata could be around 3,000 data. And those data are now split into 4 graphs. So those 4 graphs are, morning 6 to 10, Prahar 2 is 10 to 2 in the afternoon, Prahar 3 is 2 to 6, and Prahar 4 is 6 to 10 at night. And the night data, I do not have that data, so I'm not showing any results there. But typically now you can see for this particular Pitta Vata combination, your numbers are completely different. So when we say, in the morning eat like a Raja, and then in the afternoon eat like a prince, and so on. So you can actually see that with respect to graphs. Especially you can observe that during the rainy season at night, it's really bad. It's really bad, and this particular category of people should take good care of them, and so on. This I essentially very interesting want to show you all. We all are from technical background, so it's just graph, but it resembles to what we have been following throughout our life. So instead of January, February, March, now I have plotted this with respect to the Hindu calendar. So you can see that there is Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha. So from Prathama to Purnima and again up to Amavasya. We can observe that when the moon is increasing in the first cycle, your digestion is better. When it is decreasing, it's lesser. So, and there are references in our ancient texts that, we have different types of, digestive power in those 2 pakshas. Especially if you observe the black line or the red line typically talks about Pitta or your digestion. It's coming down on at around first Ekadashi, going up, again coming down on second Ekadashi, and again going down on Amavasya. So, could be possible that's why, our ancient people, we have been following, fasting every week around Chaturthi, Ekadashi, and so on. We have observed even further details with respect to specific Ekadashis, specific Chaturthis for specific a group of people and so on, which I'm not going to show here right now. But that's incredible. I mean, based on the randomly selected 25,000 plus data, we observe such trends, and that's why we can now say that based on your constitution, based on your body type, whether you want to decrease your weight, work on your acidity, work on your stamina, work on your sleep, stress, and so on. So based on such graphs, we can tell that which food you can have, how much calories you can consume, and so on. So it becomes very easy. Many rules are already there in various textbooks, but they have been followed by our Ajji, and so on, and they have been, we can definitely say that they are much healthier than today's us, and that might be the reason that they are not following such things as rules, but they are just following them because they have been following. So it makes a lot of difference when the atmosphere around you, the climate around you is changing, you adopt to it. In Ayurveda, it's called as Rutucharya, Dinacharya, that how you behave during a day, how you behave during a season, how you behave during the transition of a season, and so on. So that's very important. Similarly, I mentioned that there are about 22 parameters, which are about different nadi gunas and so on. And even in them also, we have seen cyclic seasonal components. Few people have dry skin during the monsoon, few people have dry skin during winters, especially ladies have issues during October, November, during winter season with respect to their hair. Some people, find it very energetic in the morning session. People like me, I like coding during the night time and so on. So every person is different. Their graphs are different, and we should know what we should follow, what we should not, with practical approaches. For example, typical Ayurvedic dinacharya says that early in the morning, have dinner during around sunset and so on, which is not practical. Which is not practical many times, because we have clients abroad, we have to talk to them, we have to go for some night outs and so on. So in those cases, how to solve this problem, how to reduce the toxins, how to reduce the stress, how to have a good sleep. So we can follow some rules, we can unfollow and adopt to our practical nature using this technology. We always say that medicine, the food works as a medicine. So we did many experiments. One of them is plotted here, where we showed that various foods have different effects on different types of people. With respect to increasing your, some foods increase your vata, some food increases your pitta, and so on. So depending on what you really want to do, we can give, or we can restrict some portions or some types of food, so that your body gets back to your healthy average. Again, with respect to Surya Namaskar, we showed that your Nadi Bala increases, your immunity increases, the value decreases inside the Nadi parameters and so on. So this was again a very good MTech project in which we showed that Surya Namaskar helps. That's it. I mean, we know that it helps, but we showed with respect to graphs. Again, another experiment where we showed that the Panchakarma treatment of Virechana helps to reduce the toxins inside the body. So it reduces your Tikshna Guna, it reduces your Samata, it increases your other parameters and so on. So why few people should do Panchakarma, why certain people should not do Panchakarma in so and so season and so. So that can be done, that can be found out using signal processing. Okay. We also, so beyond Nadi, I showed about Ashtavidha Pariksha. It also has tongue component. So we launched this product about a year and I think about 15 months ago. Lola app. Lola is basically tongue in Sanskrit, and we worked on about 200 to 300 users. So we keep clicking selfies, right? So we ask them to click selfies of their tongues early in the morning. And based on, on their saturation levels, based on the cracks, based on colors, typical image processing problem. And we were able to find out various inner healths again about the using the tongue. Similarly, there is a Anguli Praman where, each Anguli has a specific, significance with respect to your face, with respect to your toes, with respect to your full body and so on. For example, if your forehead is 4 angulis, it means something. If your forehead is 3 angulis, it means something. If your nose is smaller, if your nose is bigger, you have convex, concave nose, it has different meanings. And we should know that, I'm such so and so person, so I should follow these rules, I should unfollow those rules. And again, with respect to face, there are particular pointers, particular ratios, and so on. So with that, we have come up with next product called Turiya, which records your Prakriti, which records your Vikruti every day. And based on that data, we give a 7 days full diet with recipes, ingredients, and everything. We give diet, we give yoga, we give exercise, we give music, we give water, infused water, and so on. So that you remain, if you are imbalanced, you get back to your balanced state, and it works for the entire family. So the suggestions are with respect to Rutus, whether you want to reduce your weight, whether you want to reduce your stress, you want to get your better sleep, and so on. So that is how the next product looks like. The first product I explained was more about the clinical product, the product at doctors, where it gives a huge report card. Doctors use them in the patient conversation. This is more like a home monitoring, the BP machine, or we all have oximeters now. So it just gives numbers, and it tells you the corrective actions. So it tells you about how well you are, how good or bad is your digestion, how good or bad your stress is, and it immediately talks about your diet, exercise, and so on. And it works for the entire family. So some representative screens that all of you must have seen how Google Fit looks like, or how typical iWatch screen looks like. So these are representative screens. We are actually launching this product in the month of January 28. We launched for a pre-book on this Dashera, where people are pre-booking them at very highly discounted price, and we will deliver them by the end of January. So just to on the last segment, before I go to the next segment, last slides of the first segment, uh, the favorable time for Ayurveda, is now. So people have understood the relevance, the importance of yoga in their life. Most Western countries have adopted yoga. They have proven this with respect to various research papers. They have adopted it, and now it is coming back to us. So next big thing is going to be Ayurveda. Let me tell you some numbers. The wellness industry is at this moment is about $11 trillion industry, and it's increasing. I mean, just in 2017, it was half. So it's increasing multifold. You can see that how Unilever, Patanjali, these and all companies are talking about Ayurveda, Vedic, ancient, and so on. So the best timing is now. There's so many methods, so many rules, and we can definitely work with the help of image processing, signal processing, all kind of machine learning, questionnaire based, all today's technologies available in terms of mobile apps, other signals, and so on. And so that ultimately we solve the problem of whatever is growing inside, we solve that from inside, and we know it from inside, we solve it from inside. And even this year's the sustainable goals of WHO are about accessible and affordable solutions for health. And yes, our Atmanirbhar, our Ayurveda is definitely is going to make the impact on the entire world. We could not export yoga. We could not. I mean, of course, it's the greatest export of our country, but we do not get the due recognition which we were supposed to get. We are working heavily so that Ayurveda gets the recognition from India. I mean, let me tell you, thousands of companies and colleges across the world are currently working on Ayurveda, working on traditional Chinese medicine, Korean medicine, and so on. So make sure that we also work on this, we make the impact, and we export the knowledge base, and so on. So just to conclude this particular session, we have seen so many non-communicable disorders increasing, such as diabetes, anxiety, allergies, cancers, depression, and so on. And again, the root cause is not always the virus or something like that. The root cause is very simple. It can start with as simple as lack of sleep, or some deficiency, or some hormonal imbalance, and so on. So if we know in time, we can take corrective actions so that it gets delayed, or we can stop it, or we can reduce the the level of that complexity. So that's the problem we are solving, and that problem we are solving confluencing these three, which is the holistic viewpoint of Ayurveda, in which we are getting time series images. Very soon we are working on the voice part, the stools part, again image processing, data coming from Google, data coming from various variables. So we are combining these technologies of data, and we have also combined the science of nutrition, which we use day in day out. And so that's the solution we are creating. And we are again saying again and again that we have to be vocal about our science, about our Ayurvedic science, and we should make sure that we present this science in the language in which the world understands, so that everyone gets benefited, and we adopt to it. Okay, the second session, which was not mentioned to Amol sir, which was not there, but I included this. Next 10 minutes, I'm going to talk about why innovations, why we have to follow this. Uh, uh, I had given this 10 slides presentation to one of the colleges, and it was very well appreciated. So I'm going to, present these slides. I saw that, many of the names in the audience are, are old or very experienced. So please pardon me if I, so मी थोडा लहान तोंडी मोठा घास घेतोय, but please, so this is for especially for the new faculty members and so on. So, if we see this innovation matrix with respect to GDP, we are way on the right top corner. One is what is called as why innovation makes money and increases the overall GDP of the nation. So we are so at the back, and that's why our GDP is very bad. Our numbers are very bad, and so on. So we should make sure that whatever contributions we are making, those result into innovations, patents, and we really make difference to the world, to the country, and eventually to the world. So I'm going to explain a few bits. We always say that, भारतात काही होणार नाही, होतच नाही, काय वगैरे वगैरे. So what a typical common man says is that, this everything is because of the politicians. They are the ones who are, because of them, India is not doing well. Or we are already doing excellent job, but, let someone else do this. We are not doing it, and something like that. Someone to Shivaji Bhava, Dusrikade Bhava, and so on. The academia people are always, craving about we are not getting funds from the government. Then they are saying that, we do not have good students. We never get good students. Good students always go to some other college and so on. Or we always, the academy, I mean, these are from, the faculties, but the department, the HODs also say that we do not get good teachers, or the students say we do not get teachers. It's always, blaming game. Or we do not get meaningful support from the industry. It's a very common excuse given by many people that, industry does not want to work with my institute and so on. Industry people again say that, this particular college, this particular institute does not have a good infrastructure. They do not know the finances or energies, or they do not have any incentives or for R&D. The students are not getting incentivized and so on. So why should we work with them? And again, we are not getting help from academics and R&D and so on. So these are all various reasons, given by various people. Let me tell you, these reasons are absolutely fine, absolutely acceptable. I work with so many industries. I myself is an industry person now. I was in IIT as a PhD student, then in NCL as a postdoc student. Currently working with 4 different colleges. 2 of them are best colleges, 2 of them are average colleges in Pune at this moment. But let me tell you, the students are bad, students of good. It's just the nature or the how you work with them makes a lot of difference. So I'm going to present the next few slides how you may work in next couple of projects, couple of years, find yourself whether this is working for you or not, and so on. So how do I approach to innovative research? How do I do that? Sometimes we do not know where to find the problems, how to solve them, and so on. So I always say to those students, those teachers, that the problems are around. Talk to people, find out issues, or find out issues, then talk to people, and make good efforts around them. And if you are solving the problem is 100%, if we consider that as a timeline, spend good 20-25% to define a problem statement, find out the real need. That need could be very small, that need could be very high, but you should know the exact need, and then you are solving the problem. And then you find out what is really done in that particular area, whether that problem is already solved, some portion is solved, some portion is remaining, and so on. And then make the time, what people are needed, what infra is needed, make a timesheet, and then start working. So you can see that significant 40-50%, time is needed even before starting the work. And this has been established. This has been there in many institutes, so adopt to such giving good time before starting to work. So how do I find out relevant literature? That's fine that we have to find out the problem statement, but then how to find that particular problem statement or my relevant literature and so on. So this is what I've been telling and has been useful to few people. So first of all, find the best journals or best conferences in your area. So whatever area of working you have, find the best journals, best conferences. Keep them aside, first of all. You don't need to look at them in the initial days. Before you become comfortable with those areas, go to the second best journals, second best conferences, popular journals, popular conferences, and start reading papers, start reading titles, just the titles. Reading titles is a good, every day you should read 10, 20, 50 titles. Just reading the titles, you will realize that, you like certain titles, you don't like certain titles. And once you know that, you go to the next abstracts and conclusions, and you will realize that some abstracts are really nice, some conclusions, fascinate you and so on. And then for them, you start reading the introduction parts and so on, and then go to the papers. And then go back to your good journal, good conferences, go back to the problem statements which are there and so on. Also, watch at least one TED talk every day. Advise your students also to listen to TED talk every day, and that TED talk could be from your region, from your relevant area, from any area, but it really helps. It really helps. It definitely helped me. And when you listen, when you read, make sure you note down what was the novelty, what was the scope of that particular work, how they solved it, why they solved it, what was the data used in it, and ultimately how it was relevant to the need. I mean, if we start noting this down in Excel sheet, it will help you. It will help. The real problem is, how do I find new research topic every year? I mean, I get 2 students, 5 students, 10 students every year. How do I really find a new research topic? So, Mr. Russell, in his autobiography, he had said that every morning I would sit down before a blank sheet of paper. Throughout the day, with brief interval for lunch, I would stare at the blank sheet. Often, when evening came, it was still empty. It seemed quite likely that the whole of my rest of my life might be consumed in looking at that blank paper. By the way, is the author of 3-volume principle. We have seen Mathematica, right? So he's the one who has written that, sometimes it's blank, and it's absolutely normal. It's absolutely normal. It will come. You have to be methodical. You have to be, optimistic, and you have to approach there. So how do I find? Again, going back. So you define your overall area based on, the approach which I told you in the first slide, read, and it will give you a click. It could be completely new topic. It could be combination of, various readings. It could be some new data, application of old method on new data, new method on old data, something like that, and for a particular problem. And then once you know that this is the problem I want to solve, first split that into sub goals and then fit your students in those sub goals. I mean, don't try to solve the problems. We should make sure that it gets split into various sub goals and give good time. Give good time so that it gets solved. And we try to achieve smaller things every year. So we solve this, then go to the next, solve that, go to the next, and so on. And handling students is also very important, that you explain them the overall goal. Even though I'm solving a small problem, the student should know that we are solving that particular bigger problem, so it will make a difference for someone. So that we should make sure that the students are enough motivated, not just the grades, not just for their defense or whatever it is, but they are actually fascinated for the end solution. They'll work really hard for that. And then of course you should have monthly meetings, weekly meetings, and so on. And most importantly, get interest and involvement with students. I've seen that students do most of the work, but no, you should also get involved at least do some paperwork, at least do some literature study, and if possible, actual coding also. If you get involved, students contribute multifold. Let me tell you with my experience, with my mentors' experience. So this has been, this all knowledge has been given by my mentors to me, and I'm talking to you. So it's very relevant. It has been proven that if you show, even coding involvement, students get scared, they're happy, and they do a fabulous job. Fabulous job. Team efforts, very important, that teachers of similar group can come together and help each other's students. I mean, this has been there in all foreign big, better, best institutes, that various interdisciplinary or same areas teachers or experts come together to solve a bigger problem. Even that is very relevant. And every month, you get together, presentations, teas, coffees. It makes a lot of difference. Strictly no politics, of course. I mean, it's not my students or your students. It's all students. It's a problem, after all, that we are solving. Last slide, publication, about publication. This was asked to me by one of the colleges. So when you submit a student's paper or your own paper at some, national level conference journal, when, because it's in the norm of, of our, these guidelines given by the colleges, you also submit to a good or best conference, best journal. This is essentially because, we know that it's going to get rejected at that particular level of conference or this thing, but you will come to know why it has been rejected. Sometimes, you feel that this has been rejected for this reason, but the reviewers of those better journals, better conferences give you the exact feedback. This has been rejected because so and so reasons, so that you can go back and solve those problems and ultimately make sure that you publish in a good journal or a good conference. So you again improve solve those problems, solve those feedbacks, and resubmit. So with that, I would like to thank you all. Thank you, Amol sir, again for giving this opportunity. And I hope I have explained the journey of finding some need, working on it from time series image processing point of view, get the patterns, get domain experts involved, talk to your customers, get feedback, pivot it, find the new solution, get to the market, again get the feedback, get the next product, and so on. And I want to stress out again one more time that many of you might know about Ayurveda, might already been following Ayurvedic Dinacharya, Rutucharya, many rules. Start low, read about it, talk to them, talk to your family members, make sure that, because right now it's first pandemic, let me tell you that way. It's many more to come. The next time is going to be very difficult, and we have to be prepared at home for our family from all angles. Thank you again. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm open for them. Thank you. Thank you, Aniruddha.
Thank you, sir. Some of the participants have put their questions in the Q&A tab.
Okay. So
Just besides the chat symbol.
Okay, let me have a look. Okay.
Are you able to see?
Yes.
Or should I read it for you?
I don't see a question as such. I don't see questions. So sorry. Can you read out to
Yes.
me, please?
Yes. Okay. So I'm a research scholar from NITT.
Okay.
Kiruthika from NITT. So the question is as follows. I'm a research scholar in NITT. This
Okay.
idea of Ayurvedic correlation with engineering is really a hard scenario for me. And still, at the same initial point of research, working on Ayurvedic books now, could you please guide me with this for using Ayurvedic techniques in terms of hardware?
In terms of hardware.
Yes.
So
Any books?
right. So I will tell you the first book to refer is I will write in the text chat box also. It's called as Secrets of the Pulse. Uh, Even though it's about Nadi, about pulse, it gives an overall gist. Okay, it's by Dr. Vasant Lad. I'm referring to this book because he has written this book for the foreigners. So he has used very simple language, simple English language. So in the initial first two or three chapters of this particular book will explain you all the overall idea of about Ayurveda. Then there are multiple websites. Essentially, if you see the website of Jiva Ayurveda, I will write it here. So Jiva is a company which provides Ayurvedic treatments over phone. So it's a tele method of solving the problems. But they are the first ones to solve this through technology, and their website is very good. It's very informative. It captures most details about Ayurveda, about problems, Prakriti, your rasa, virya, dosha, subdosha, and so on. So you will get all the idea about various terminologies from their website. So I showed that there is a Ashtavida Pariksha, there is also Trivid Pariksha, Dashavida Pariksha. There have been people who observe only eyes. There have been people who observe the how your stomach. So what they do is that they put your hand on your stomach and then they do like this, and they do Nada Pariksha. So, you can come up with hardware for Nath Pariksha, where you put something on your stomach and just do the frequency analysis of this Nath and so on. I mean, there are so many methods which are explained and you will see that there are so many other websites, so many other books, and you will definitely get ideas. So, as I said in the presentation itself, once you start reading, you will get the ideas about which method you really want to solve. Okay. And it will be emotional also. For example, your mother, your sister, or some relative has gone through some problem, and to solve that problem, you will read something in one of the texts, and so it will give you, a kick to solve that problem either through hardware or software and so on. All right. Have I answered your question? Have I understood and answered your question?
Okay. We'll take up next.
Okay.
Though these products need standardization, so faster development and make it available to world.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, we have been working on this. We have sold to so many people after a certain level of validations. In Turia, we have also incorporated. I think Pradna ma'am is saying something. Okay, so in this new product of Turia, we have also incorporated the HIPAA compliance of the security levels and so on. So we are including technologies. We are including different standardization methods, validation methods, clinical trials at every level. I mean, each product, each technology, each problem solution takes its own time cycle of next development. So we are going through them. The ECG system which I mentioned has taken about 250 years of development to the stage at which it is now. We have just started. So I think we will go through all such development cycles, and in next few years we will definitely make progress in
Yes, sir.
I
Uh,
think signal is lost.
we'll take up next. How to find best journal for research work to decide a topic.
I mean, one.
Yes, I think now there is no.
area, you actually go to hello. So you actually go to Google and just write high impact factor journals for signal processing, and it will actually give you a list. High impact high impact factor conferences for signal processing, and it will give you a list. So there are so many websites and references where you will find this. I mean, there's no one location where you can find, but Google will help. No problem about that.
Okay, sir. One more thing. Just a minute.
I think the first question was asked, and now he's again asking. I'm referring to that book only, but I have the problem to correlate it technically. For sure, I'll refer that website, Jiva Ayurveda. Yes, please do that. And I had mentioned my email ID in my presentation. So we can talk this, we can take this offline anytime. I mean, go through the material, we can talk further also.
Sir, I have one question actually.
Yes, sir.
As a part of curiosity about
Yes.
this Vata Pitta Kapha
Yes.
related to means applicable to children's.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that? How is it different or whether it is not different?
Yes. So typically, I mean, we have worked, we have got some data with respect to children also, but essentially, right now, our product works more for children more than age 14 or 16 when the pulse is completely developed. So below that, our solution is not correctly. We are not recommending our solution. Currently, we are also working at Kota, where more than 3 lakh students study for appear for different classes, and we are trying to find out. And it has been found that more than 10% of them go through stress. So we are trying to solve the problem of whether using various technologies can we find out who are going through stress, and we can give wellness intervention to them or not. But to your question, sir, using nadi sensors below the age of 14, 15, it's not very simple. It has to be done with manual intervention. But above 14, above 15, 16, it's more like an adult pulse, so there is not much difference. So have I answered your question, sir?
Yes, sir. One question from Shilpa madam. Climate change is now a reality. Can we
Yes.
see and predict changes to parameters? Can we predict the changes required to adjust the new climatic condition?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and you can, get adopted very easily. So in Turiya also, what we are doing, we are so suppose because I'm in Pune, I will take the name of Pune. So I'm at one location of Pune, and when I give the recommendations in my Turiya product itself. So what we do is we for Pune we get the temperatures and humidity of next 7 days, and we know that it's going to change in so and so fashion. For example, today in the newspaper we saw that there is new cyclone is reaching out to the Tamil Nadu region. So it's going to change the climate again. It might be cloudy, it might be raining again in Pune. It's possible. So once I know that, even though it's we should have been in the winter season, we are actually not, and we are in some other season. We are in the transition season. We are in the altered season. We can call it that way. So understanding what is going to be next 7 days, our eating, our other habits should follow that. For next 7 days it's going to be hot, so I should not eat the winter food, but I should actually follow what will get adjusted to the season with which we are having for next 7 days, and so on. So yes, predicting what is going to happen and adopting ourselves is essential, and we should do it.
Hello, sir.
Sir,
Yes,
I am
Deepak.
coming to it. Okay.
I have one question. Are you also working on the effect of mantra and sutras on the human body? Because now what happened, this vibration also affects that Vata, Pitta, and Kapha dosha, and they are also creating certain vibrations on our certain glands. So, are you working on it?
So from research angle, yes. From product angle, not yet. We are still making the validation process and so on. So let me tell you a couple of experiences that yes, mantra therapy works. And we were taking nadi of one particular patient, and one Vaidya who knows proper mantra therapy, he started chanting those mantras, and and that Vaidya and that patient did not knew that how his pulse signals were getting captured. Even though they were on screen, we made sure that the screen is in front of us and not in front of them. And we collected this data for about 5 minutes, and the chanting was going on, and so on. And before the study, I had told that particular Vaidya that, when you think that your mantra is making a difference to that particular Vaidya. So as engineers, we think that how even is that possible and so on. But because I'm working in this area, we assume that it's really happening. It's yet to capture on paper and so on. But let's assume for this session purpose that it really happens, that that Vaidya is able to feel, sense that the mantras are making a difference to that particular patient. So I told him that there's a stopwatch. You tell me when it actually happened, and we were recording the signals. It was not visible to both of them, and that particular Vaidya told me that after 3.5 minutes, I thought that this mantra therapy has worked and it has been helping him. And let me tell you that this is my own experience, that his pulse, which was like this, and around 3.25 minutes, it has become like this. So, so it has changed the complete form factor of that particular person just based on the mantra therapy. So yes, the person who asked the question, yes, absolutely, mantra therapy works. There have been many experiments. We are making a few experiments, but we have not observed any significant results in terms of repeatability, or something works for a particular disease or a particular situation. So we are still making the experiments. I think it will take another year or two, or maybe many more years, to actually prove that it works in this fashion, that certain mantra works for this particular disease or for pitta imbalance or something like that. And based on that, maybe we can take this to the as a product. But the question you asked, research is needed. We are making small progresses in that direction. If you're interested, let's catch up. Let's do this. We have seen that it works. How, when, where, we don't know yet. So let's go. We can talk about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Winnie madam, please go ahead. Winnie Sharma madam, you are not audible.
Madam, increase the volume.
You are not audible, madam.
Ma'am, can you write in the chat box, please?
Actually, she has mentioned that she is working on autistic patients in her PhD
Okay.
project.
Okay.
So her question might be related to that.
Okay. Ma'am, maybe can you? I'll write my email ID again in the chat box for everyone. Maybe please write to me. We'll talk about this. So sorry, I could not hear what amazing work you are doing, but we'll talk about it definitely.
Sir, I think one or two more.
Yes.
Annan Rajeshwari madam, her question. Sir, your contribution is remarkable. Your research helps to identify nadi, but you have targeted any particular disease, or will it be a solution for any disease?
Right. So thank you for this question, ma'am. Absolutely. we have also started working in the areas of cancer, diabetes, and hypertension. With respect to cancer, our results are not positive. With respect to diabetes, actually, we are working with someone called Dr. Nagendra, who started World Yoga Day, who is typically, the advisor for our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji. And with him, we have three papers specifically with respect to diabetes. What we are trying to solve is that for the people in, especially for 30s, 40s, and 50s, where pre-diabetes start showing up because of the bad lifestyle and so on. So we are trying to find out whether we can find out well in advance whether this person is approaching towards diabetes, and then do various yoga interventions to those people so that we can either stop or delay the diabetes and so on. So yes, the results with respect to diabetes are very positive. There are 22 different types of diabetes defined in Ayurveda. So we will be making, so whenever we work on this, we will make sure that we talk about personal lifestyle based diabetes intervention, completely non-invasive in the form of smartwatch or something like that. With respect to hypertension also, we are getting good results. But I think those solutions not before 2022. I mean, the kind of clinical trials it requires, the kind of validations it requires, because we are talking about health, it will take that much time, and also it's very expensive. So we are in the initial phase of our startup. We are raising funds. So once we go to the next level of our funding process, we raise money. The clinical trials and the next research activities will take the next level of involvement. So I think by 2022 we will be able to come up with respect to diabetes for sure. Hypertension also we are getting good results, but diabetes for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. One more question, sir, as a part of curiosity from my side.
Yes,
Like
yes, sir.
suddenly we have to face this COVID kind of
Yes.
pandemic. How, according to you, is Ayurvedic means capable of facing such type of future pandemics?
Yes. So we have seen that from one home also, certain person has got affected, but second person is not, and it's all about immunity game. It's really about immunity game. Also, taking precautions with respect to mask and all. It's absolutely there, but with respect to, if you really want to ask me whether Ayurveda really worked or allopathy worked, I do not have that answer. But the people who have taken proper precautions with respect to mask, with respect to taking, I mean, आपण त्याला वाफ घेतो म्हणतो, so um, and taking some tablets, whether it's homeopathy tablets, whether it's Ayurvedic tablets, believing in you, believing, taking, doing some exercise, keeping you healthy, that definitely worked, and that is exactly is going to be the next 20 years for sure. I mean, it's not just about COVID, it's not about the virus, but the climatic conditions are surely changing because of global warming. You can see that suddenly more number of cyclones are coming. The seasons are deviating from their usual timings and so on. And it's going to be worsen and worsen. So we have to make sure that we are healthy, our family is healthy, our friends are healthy, and that healthiness is going to come from within only, and that within is not going to be because of some tablets, but because of proper care with respect to food. So food is something which is 95% of us. So if we take proper food, proper care, proper some meditation, I mean, some yoga, some exercise, it's definitely going to help. There is no other way, sir. It's going to be like this. Whether we remove our mask after 6 months, something is going to be there with respect to climate, with respect to something else. The pollution is increasing. I mean, we are at that level at this moment. We have to take care of ourselves. Ayurveda is good, homeopathy is good, Unani is good. So you believe in one, you stick to one. You make sure that entire family is intact with respect to the kind of bala immunity, all those terms we are continuously hearing in WhatsApp, in or in the newspapers. It's absolutely, I mean, we have understood the reality. We have because so many patients, so many doctors we are associated with, and we have realized that it's going to be like this, so we have to be strong from within. So yes, so
Right.
we have to follow them. We have
So
to follow them.
believing is equally important.
Believing is important. Following is equally important. Sometimes, following is more important than believing. But when you believe, it helps. For example, suppose you are fever, you just have fever, okay, and for 3 days you take crocin. But then either you talk to your mom or you talk to your doctor, whom you believe, okay, and the same crocin helps. It can be, it can be because of fourth day, or it can be because of the belief system. So it helps. It definitely helps. Going to your doctor, going to your mentor, going to your guru definitely helps. Whether it's health or your research or anywhere, going, believing, adopting, following helps. It could be any pathy. I mean, if you want to stick to allopathy, absolutely fine, but you should make sure that even allopathy talks about your circadian rhythm. So, circadian rhythm is again about how your rhythm changes over a day. So, they also have the similar clock system. So, if you follow that system, you stick to circadian rhythm. Then they talk about certain things to do with respect to circadian rhythm, and you follow them. And it's not about, so there has to be, the nature is cyclic, we call it acyclic. So there is a very minute difference between days. So it's not exactly copy paste. It's called as acyclic nature or pseudo cyclic nature. So with respect to that change, you make a cyclic change in yourself with respect to some pathy, and it helps.
Great, sir. So I think we do not have any more questions. Okay, so let me share the screen. So I would like to thank you, sir, for
Thank you.
sharing this particular area of research, which might be new to many of us. We all know the capabilities of ancient science, but then unless and until when we associate or relate or associate it with the technology, then certainly we start believing in it.
Absolutely.
So we are privileged and happy to have you as our guest speaker. So thank you very
Thank you
much,
so much. Thank you
and
so much.
please accept our virtual token of
Thank
memento
you.
as a token of appreciation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
And will you please share the slides so that I can share it with all the and will you please share the slides so that I can share it with all?
Which slide, sir?
Uh, the PowerPoint slides which you have just now shown.
I will do that.
Ah,
I will send you.
okay, sir.
I will send you by email.
Okay,
Yes.
sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
So participants, if